So let's get into it. I thought I would do a thing I've been doing recently where I start at the top. That way, being the highest rated, start from the highest rated, work down to the lowest rated. I'm going to try to do all 22 graduates today because just the next couple of days I'm totally wrecked.
Hmm.
And I start from the top sometimes, David, just so that I can give more time and energy to the higher rated people. Not to say
Right. Because you've done
theirs
it in
is,
one direction for so long.
yeah.
Yep.
It's also, it's a little bit, I don't know if it's bad to say, but I do feel it's a bigger achievement. Yeah, just for sure. I'm going to go ahead and say for sure. It's a bigger achievement when you go like Kurukaru here from 1900, 2000 to 2021. It's just a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, and he says, just started and trying to focus on the tactical part of the program. Definitely the advice of slowing down helped a lot, and I hope I can keep gaining points and bring these gains on OTB too. Cool. So let's click on him here. And one of the things that we've seen in the dojo is that higher rated players often do not have games, and my theory is that is because their identity is so wrapped up with their chess that they don't have the emotional capacity to look deeply at their games. Whereas for an 800, it's like, whatever. Kraai says, I look at this thing, I'll do it. You know?
Hmm.
All right, so here we go. Clubs. I think this person joined end of last year, so they have been around for a little bit. And it seems like they're doing heavy tactics. They might have a game. Let's see if they got a game. No game. So as expected, yeah. And I don't know, Dave. Do you have any thoughts? Am I right, boss? Is this about people and their preciousness? I'm strong. I feel strong,
You
man.
mean whether or not they're looking at their games?
Yeah, I feel like higher rated players, if you haven't been looking at your games, it's harder to start because it's so painful. You kind of think you're a genius when you're 1900, and then so looking at your mistakes is that much harder
I think
than
there's
if you
probably
were 800.
something where like the newer the player, the less they are set in their ways, so it's easier for them to
Mm.
adapt to any element of your training program, probably. And the higher rated the player, the more they're going to not necessarily. It's not even necessarily that they think that what they do is better. They may think like, oh, I should do what the dojo tells me or something like that. But they'll be used to it, right? So it's all habits to break, right? They're used to doing things their way. And then on top of that, there will be things that have worked because their rating's already pretty high, right? So there are things they've done that were effective, right? Like I need to change how I study chess, let's say, but there are obviously some things I did that worked, right? Because I got over 2000 and won some games and so forth, right?
Right.
Um, so there's going to be some part of you that's like, oh, this one thing I should keep doing, or you just have habits. Let's say you're tired and you're just like, oh, I'll just fall back into something that I normally do, right? I've got an hour, I'll just do this thing I sometimes do. So I think those could all be factors in it.
Okay.
As far
Let's
as like
read.
a total block on analyzing one's games, no, nobody should have that. Nobody should refuse to analyze their games. It's
I'm
obviously
telling
a
you,
good
boss,
idea.
the higher rated players have that block, and the much harder core than the lower ratings. Okay, here we go. Jakester says this: really struggled to hit the graduate button. And imposter syndrome is kicking in really hard. I think it is going to take a lot of work to maintain this rating and my recent level of play. Been on a hot streak, going undefeated over my last 15 classical games, all against Class A players. Very nice. Been learning a lot from analyzing my games, but still have a lot more to learn. Loving the reading requirements. 45 Techniques, that's a book, David. I should pick it up. And Endgame
Yeah,
Strategy are both fantastic.
yeah,
I also have really appreciated Kostya's Endgame Studies course on Chessable. It was great calculation work, and I have felt more comfortable calculating in endgames after completing it. It's gonna take a lot of work before I can graduate again, so let the grinding begin. Now, I just want you guys to see we have a number of people who have graduated multiple times, but if you get this high and you're graduating, oh, that's a big deal, man. That
yeah.
is, yeah, that is both you and the program crushing it. Jakester is 33 years old from Massachusetts, now in Kentucky. Okay, great. So as you can see, they have reached 1904 normalized and 1980 USCF, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Have they done? They've done some tests. The tests. It looks like three pure dots here. So it looks like they need a little work on the tactics tests.
What do the three dots mean, Jesse, that they have or haven't done three tests?
That they would, I think one of the dots, the other dots would be a different color, a lighter color, if they hadn't done them. Like
Okay.
if they'd only done one would be filled out, and the other two would be kind of vacant looking.
Okay, so they've done their checkmate tests.
And their tactics tests,
Great.
just that they haven't done they haven't done as high as their rating would suggest. Though
But
really,
didn't they
ultimately,
just crest the 1900 group?
well, in the tactics test, they're 1824. I'm just saying it's a little bit below where they want to be, and their PR survival suggests they're much higher. So it does average out to where they are,
Uh-huh.
a little higher than where they are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's click around a little bit. We got some clubs, New England. There we go. But this guy is in Kentucky. Activity, and I'm gonna go back. My mouse is a little funny here. But I'm gonna go back one. And so this graduation took 134 hours of work. Pretty good macro distribution with a lot of tactics and endgame. Let's click on the tactics. They got up to 1991 on the maiden twos. That all looks pretty good. Woodpecker method. I'm reading that right now. It's kind of a great read for the airplane for me. And then this endgame says, yeah, dude, so he's cranking it. This dude is, I mean, he is truly grinding it out. So this looks good. Let's see if we get a game in here. So this is Jakester. Boom. All right. Now, David, you have to tell me when I get the layout wrong. I have different layouts for the game and for the time graph,
Mhm.
just so we can see all that stuff.
Right now, the board is nicely maximized, and then we've got the comments along the side. It's a pretty good view.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you guys actually real quick the time graph. So that's what that looks like. And so one of the things just to bear in mind is when we look at the lower cohorts, we often see people simply moving too fast. And so one of the things just to appreciate if you are in those lower cohorts and moving too fast is that when we go up, higher rate, it's going to look something more like this,
Mhm.
where people are using their time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like they got 10 moves in quickly, and then both players started thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Then they reached a point around move 40 to 50 where the situation was pretty clear and they were able to finish the game, the last moves, without thinking too hard about them.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Some conversion, right? That was not too difficult.
Yeah. So let's take a look.
Jesse, about their comments, before we get into nitty-gritty moves, I've got two thoughts. Number one, this person seems very willing to work hard and like understanding of how much work it can take. Like they understand that every 100 points it's getting harder. They need to do a lot of work to get there. They're willing to do a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Then my only thought is they're slightly just slightly lacking in confidence in themselves, right? This is often like a flip. You've got people who either have so much confidence so they don't appreciate they need to do work, or you've got people who think like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to work forever. I understand it's so hard, but they're a little bit lacking in confidence in themselves, that little verve, like I won a game, so I'm gonna win my next game. I've gone undefeated for 15 games, I'm gonna go undefeated for the next 15 games, right? So this person is kind of tentative about promoting themselves, tentative about their growth, even though they're on a really good streak, right? And they're like, oh, it's going to take me so long to graduate again. So I think it's great that they appreciate hard work and they could just be a little bit more pumped with themselves, maybe, because they've accomplished this graduation, right? And they're on a great streak and they've done a lot of grinding.
Okay, yeah. We'll see. I didn't have that strong of a feeling about it, but yeah, let's see if the game and the annotations kind of bear out what you're saying. So he says he stepped out of his comfort zone in the opening, ended up suffering. We'll see if that's a true narrative. And then opponent left him off the hook, and then pressing in the endgame, not able to find the knockout blow. Now, maybe what we're going to see later is that the situation was not clarified, and in fact, both players playing too fast in the endgame. That's something we see at this level quite a bit. We'll see if that's true as well. So let's get into it. All right, so, oh no, my little arrows don't work here, boss. All right, here we go. So, I won't be able to deal with my arrows. Okay, boss.
We need arrows.
Boss, where? Oh, there we go. Good. Okay. So good move order from white. And now he takes. In general, this is a mild inaccuracy. Not the end of the world or anything. But a mild inaccuracy because you are now giving white the Carlsbad structure, and it'll be easier for white to understand what's going on because now, after ED4, white has plans of playing on the E file. Oh, my arrows are working. And planting a knight at some point on E5. Again, not the end of the world, but it would be better if we didn't commit that to CD. So in my mind, the most challenging move for black here is E6. Yeah, so I think just E6 is probably the standard thing, and then white has a number of moves, C3 being the most traditional. Okay, but let's get into it. Okay, good. And this is definitely a mistake. Let's see what he says. During the postmortem of a previous game with a similar opening, Rondas regretted not playing Queen B3. I was concerned that Queen B3 would lead to an uncomfortable position for black. In particular, I prefer to bring my dark square bishop to D6 in order to exchange bishops in this position. And then he gives a variation with E6, Queen B3, Queen C8. Yeah. Now, the truth of the matter is, we might already be a touch worse as it is. And while I definitely don't like bishop F3, what's kind of interesting about it is even though you're going to be worse, you are going to have a very solid position. Personally, my feeling here is that even though it's a little bit unpleasant, I think I would prefer. This is just a taste thing. I would suffer with Queen B6 here. That's what I would try.
Coincidentally, that would be my choice too, Jesse.
Okay, good. Now, what he does, by the way, is that it looks. Let me just say the reason it looks terrible is. It's not so much you're giving up the bishop, but the knight on d2 is white's worst piece, and you are just fixing it now. Mm-hmm. So now that guy's fixed, and white's definitely doing great. But again, you're solid. And this gives white an interesting question of how to play. And he plays bishop g3. I think the main question is knight e5. I feel pretty good that knight e5 is the right move here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Bishop g3. I don't understand a6. You write, a waiting move. Often in these structures, white wants black to capture on g3. This is a funny thing. Actually, I'll tell the story. So I've seen this so much with both London players and players playing against the London. They're really terrified of the open H file, but really, the open H file usually doesn't do anything. And you write castles here, and you say, well, I don't think a6 was necessarily problematic. Castling just makes more sense. Good. So a6 is definitely a mistake. You're losing time, and you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Right? Okay. So a6, queen e2. Castles is by definitely for white the most natural move. Or knight e5. I still like knight e5, honestly. Let's just put that on the board. Now, knight e5 here would be weird because white just played bishop g3, but of course a6 was a loss of time. And when you just look at it, you can see, oh no, Black's going to really suffer now because it's just a real obnoxious jerk here on e5. Anytime you take him, the knight will be dislodged from its defensive position, and I don't see any way to challenge the thing. So
Abdul, if you're asking about knight d7 for black here, then after knight takes e6, you might be losing a piece.
You will be losing a piece. There's also this trick. Sometimes also, obviously, knight c6 is here stronger, but yeah. Okay. So white plays dogmatically, and by the way, I am convinced. I've gone over enough games from a variety of players at this level to know that the narrative in white's head was, "Ooh, I really want him to take on g3 before I castle, so I'll have that h5." So white is playing that same game, and now knight h5 happens.
And the players are like believing each other, right? It's that thing where like you know what your opponent is thinking and you're trying to avoid something because they want you to do it.
You're right. Now, personally, I'm not sure about knight h5 and definitely still believe in castles. The challenging move now for white would again be knight e5. And let's say knight takes, pawn takes. You're probably going to have to do something like h6. And no, white's got a nice little position. He's got a nice little position. Yeah. Okay. So this happens. Not a good move.
You might be able to save the tempo on h6, Jesse, and just trade on e5, play bishop c5, and not worry too much.
Maybe. But your knight's hanging, so you do have to take.
In the knight takes g3 position that you just had.
But this is a nice position for white, too. Whether we believe we might be able to take on h7, I don't know. But this is also just nice for white. You're going to eventually have to play h6 or g6.
No, I'm just going to play queen g5. And
I think eventually you will play. You will play.
Okay, and and you think this is a small advantage for white, or?
Yeah. Now, maybe there's a better way of going about it. I would say, ideally, if in this position with knight e5, if black could arrange g6, and if you're going to take on e5 to do this bishop f8, bishop g7 thing, then I could believe that black was fine. But it's a little hard to organize. In any case, this is terrible, because now he's given you access to the f4 square. He castles and lets you right in. I hope you said thank you. I hope you said thank you. Queen e3.
Well, at least he said g3. At least Jake said g3 in the annotations. So
yeah,
Jake was aware.
Yeah. But g3, you're still doing fine. You'll play knight f6. You're doing okay. White really gave away all of their juice. So knight f4. Now here's the question, though, my friends. If we just play knight takes d3, what do we got? We got an interesting Carlsbad structure where we should say it's probably roughly equal or something. But why are we taking so soon? Right? I think the first move we should really be thinking of, David will have his own thoughts here, but just castle, boss. Just castle.
My thought is it's not going to make a difference.
Well, I
expect rook f1.
And then the question is, how do we feel about this one with f6?
Well, now I keep the slightly better piece, right? Bishop f1.
I don't know.
G3.
Yeah. No, but black will play e5 at some point. It'll be, it's not immediately obvious what's happening. But in general, white needs something mildly clever here, or else black will be better.
I'd probably play rook d1 and or c4.
Mm-hmm.
My argument as white is that the bishop is just a better piece than the knight eventually, by a tiny bit, but that everything else is fine and the bishop is better.
Okay, I'll put it this way. To my head, that line is the ambitious way, and this is the unambitious way. And the problem now is queen d3. Now when we castle, we have to worry about knight g5. So we can't easily just play knight g5. Let's see what he does. He plays f6. Okay. Okay. It's funny. Now, after rook fe1, he writes castles. By the way, I think f6 is a nice move. I think it shows understanding of the position, too.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Everybody's saying that the echo is bad from me coming through your speakers. Do we want to try to fight that, or?
I don't know how. Yeah, because I have the desk. I could turn the desk. Okay, say something.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Maybe that's a little bit better. I turned the desktop audio down.
Okay. Let's try that.
Okay, so I think f6 was kind of clever. And I do think castles is at least a sane-looking move now. And king f7 is real frisky because you're going to owe white a tempo now with the h7.
Right.
Oh, yeah, black is losing his mind, Dave. Look at this. Look at this, buddy. Now I don't believe in this for black.
Wow.
Now, one thing that maybe black has seen is some similar positions where we do play on the king side like this, but there we would want to be dominating, pinching some of white's pieces, and here we really aren't. So he's taking care of the bad pieces. Yeah, Jakester don't care, bro. He's coming for you.
This would be a formation that you play as black if there's a lot of minor pieces on the board.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, you're going to be pinching the white pieces on the king side.
Yeah.
Okay, knight b3 was played. Knight d8. And now white plays c4, and Jakester doesn't like it. To me, it's pretty natural move to play c4 right here. But knight c5 might be... Oh, let's read what he writes. These are great annotations, by the way. He writes, this move was a point of disagreement in the post. After knight c5, I thought my position was borderline losing. My knight is stuck on the back rank. Yeah. My opponent, on the other hand, thought the position was relatively equal, and he didn't see a way for white to increase the pressure. Well, David, I have my own thoughts about the evaluation here. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, black's just played c5, h5. So it's reasonable to worry about black's position.
Yeah.
That knight that's bossing you on c5, I mean, the only real question is when you go a5, b6. Otherwise, I agree, you're getting owned. Like, if white's pawn were on a5, then I believe you're sort of worse on every side of the board, right? And you're going to get grinded up.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and David are agreed here. I think white is strategically winning in this position. Now, white, by the way, I still might want to make a case for white after c4 as well, though. I think c4 also looks like a good move. But this just is a terrible position. There's none of black's pieces that are better than white's pieces. Just nothing. And e5 is a pipe dream because, dude, you're just opening up your coconuts. F5 becomes weak then. D5 becomes weak.
And e5 is not a candidate move anymore.
Right, but that's what his opponent was concerned about. That was the opponent's narrative in the post. Okay, so c4. I still like white's position.
Yeah.
Snip. He likes it.
c4 is fine, but the dubious mark could be correct if knight c5 were much stronger, right?
Well, I'll tell you what is dubious is queen takes d5. That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Newsflash.
Newsflash, that wasn't it. So yeah, white has to move the queen somewhere. I don't even care where you move it, boss, but you got to move that queen somewhere. B4 is a very natural square, right?
Yep.
And as long as the queen stay on, the point is that the black king is in permanent headacheville. This is one of it. This is just a horrendous move because now the king went from 0 to hero. Right? It's now White O's time to get his king out. So this was absolutely abysmal.
And the
And the
only
only
problem in
problem in
Black's
Black's
position was the
position was the
king
king
position.
position.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
pretty
Pretty
much the
much the
problem.
problem.
Okay, so now we got this interesting situazione. And I love this annotation. He says king f1 question mark, correct, and then b6. Great. And you write, while it's suspected that this endgame was objectively a draw, White's knight seems to struggle to find an active square. I totally agree. And not only that, but like psychologically, this dude had a just winning position, and now this has happened to him, and life isn't so easy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, when people say they kindly decline a draw, that's not kindly. He didn't kindly decline the draw. He just declined it. All right, let's go. King e7. I don't understand why we didn't put our knight on e6. You know?
Yeah.
That would have been my first instinct to put the knight there.
In addition to b6 exclam, I was calculating knight e6, also exclam, as we were sitting there.
Yeah.
And it looked like a heck of a move on 26 as well.
Yeah, I think it'll probably transpose.
It
Because-
might, but it might have cost White a g3 tempo because knight e6, knight c5, I think Black can trade and win the king and pawn ending by rushing to b5. And against king e2, you have knight f4 check, king f3, knight d3.
Yeah, I think probably knight e6, g3. Like, for example, if we play knight e6 here, g3 is probably on the table for White anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if White gave you a chance here. So knight c1, good move, by the way, fixing his piece. Okay, looks good to me. Again, I'm not sure what the dream is with this knight over here. And I don't understand. Now, maybe king d3 is genius, but also just b3. What is our knight doing on a5? And you go back. So I thought, yeah, knight c4, king c3. You can definitely now try knight d6. And our knight is better than his knight, so we have a reason to believe that we can mess with him. You know, it doesn't mean we're winning or anything, but Black is definitely the one messing with him. Knight f5, for example. And then, you know, well, yeah, White's already got to think about things. If king d3, knight h4. If g3, he has to worry about h4 and knight e3 ideas. So this move doesn't make sense to me. And by the way, I'm looking at the time graph, and they are still thinking now. Knight e7, knight g6, g3, okay. Knight e7. Now, one critique I have of a lot of endgames that we see here at the dojo is that people aren't really spending time here thinking about what possible variations and stuff could be. So, for example, here I think king f5 and h4 both deserve a kind of question mark, like what's going on. Yeah. It's 97. It feels like people are just kind of moving around a little bit. Now, g4, very committal move, g4. Very committal move. And it doesn't quite feel right to me. If we're going to get frisky, I think it'd be this move. And the frisky part of that move is now White has to worry a little bit about someday maybe this pawn comes here. You know, and then maybe my knight comes and threatens this pawn if I get it there. So these kinds of questions. And g4 definitely doesn't look right to me. King e3, fine move. Now White, maybe, at this point I might rather be White. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying White's winning or anything. This would be an annoying situation for White. Okay, now, f4. That is, let's call it the passive move. And if he wanted to get frisky, I think the frisky move might be knight e2. No, it's nothing too special, really.
I mean,
I
black
mean,
can
black
play
can
knight
play knight
f5,
f5,
and
and
there's
there's
nothing going
nothing going
wrong.
wrong.
Well, the question is, I'm sure he's okay, but you do have to wonder about knight f4, knight c3, and knight takes d5.
Knight
Knight
f4, knight
f4, knight
c3. But yeah,
c3.
we'll
But yeah,
take
we'll
on
take on
d4 when the
d4
knight
when the knight
moves, right?
moves,
I'm
right?
just saying, if I'd rather. This is the question. Like, what does black do right now?
h4.
He's committed. He's giving himself some heartache, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And when you play h4, you give me the outside passer.
Mm-hmm.
See, and then when I take on d5, I also come with a tempo. So yeah, this was not this was
That's
like
true.
let's just use h4 as an example. Not a
Yeah.
good position. Let's take here first. I don't know which way you want. Something like this, and then white's definitely for choice. I'm not saying he's winning. I'm just saying things got out of hand. Okay, so f4 passive. He loves this knight a4 move.
Yeah.
And maybe we should have left it there because now, well, do we just go back and forth? h4, good move. Let's play h3, baby. Okay, good. Now, here's where there are, when we saw our time graph, here's where they're just totally blitzing.
Mm-hmm.
Black definitely has some chances here.
Apparently
Apparently,
was
was
the
the
third
third
game of the
game
day.
of the day.
Third
Third
classical
classical
game
game
of the day, Jesse.
Jesse.
During the game, I continued to worry about white playing f5 himself and generating counterplay. Okay. Here's what I would like to wonder about. King b5.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Now, first let's check knight c3. I'm going to put it first on a5. I'm not sure about this move at all. But, in fact, this move might really annoy me. That one would really annoy me. I got to play that because of the bait threat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just unhappy with life. So that didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I want to... Because white is having a hard time moving.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, that king b5 move... You know what I would do, though? I would definitely do it once. Because on knight c3, we can just repeat. So that would be the first thing I would do. Oh, yeah, this is real spicy. So, for example, I think I would consider this move.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting kind of hot for the guy.
a3.
My intention is to put the pawn on b4 if you let me. Oh yeah, this is a little spicy. So now if king c3, I'll play knight d6. And the idea is if I get the pawn on b4, then I can play knight d6, e4 just to increase the pressure. Jake, so one of the things I'll just point out when you play at this 1900 level, a lot of times people just assume the position like this guy. Play moves like f4, then they can get some passive situation, and that's really where we can work them. Yeah. So you did some interesting analysis after knight c3, and you could still play things like a5 or b5 right now. Very similar to what I was looking at. And you can always go back to f5. There's no business there. But let's look at what happens. So f5, b5. Okay. So without that f5 square, we lost a lot of our juice. b4. I don't know about that move, b4. And now, unfortunately, he used Stockfish. Now, and Stockfish talks about king c7. But let's talk about, just from a human standpoint, what the reason why what White did was so controversial is that he gave us this square on c4. Oh no! So again, what's the tendency? We have the tendency of seeing somebody who is playing passive and thinking they can just sit. So forget Stockfish for a second and just rejoice at the fact that this guy gave you 2 entrance squares and he has nothing. He's got nothing. Yeah. So even if you didn't find king c7 after, let's say, king c6, here, that looks dangerous, And then that's what Stockfish is saying, right? That he finds this knight b1. You could still triangulate him here. Now, Jakester, what you're guilty of here, and this is I'm going to end this little segment with saying, here's the time graph. So the narrative that there was nothing going on, this is where you had the opportunity to come into c4 right here. And so both players were playing under the narrative that nothing was going on. In fact, some of the most complicated positions were going on, right? White was content to believe that no, nothing was going on.
My read actually just is that Jake was really trying to win the game and thought that there might be chances and was looking for them, but eventually ran out of time and steam to find them. Jake is the lower blue line on that.
Yeah, but he still has plenty of time. He's got about 5 minutes there at the end, and it's not going down anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing to understand about that 30 minutes is you can play forever and you can gain more and more time.
Mm-hmm.
And then think. Okay, cool. Let's go back. That was a really luxurious analysis we did there.
Yeah.
And next up we have, I can't pronounce it, Dave, maybe you have a thought. This person doesn't have any points logged, so this might be what I sometimes refer to as a fake graduation. But let's just take a look here. Clubs, we got adult improver activity. Yeah, I have a feeling we don't got much here, so no games, which is good because me and David can give a little bit more time to guys like Jakester. Harry Hiller, that's what I'm going to call him. Harry Hiller, boss, we want to see more things going on, like the tactics tests and the games, yada, yada. However, he just joined, so hopefully we'll see more of Harry Hiller soon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up we have Travi LKP. Also doesn't say anything, but a couple points logged. Let's see what we got here. By the way, I'm just going to check if my scene is correct. It looks good. We'll follow Travi KLP. We want to see some tests there. And clubs down under activity. We got some time logged here. And let's just see, actually. So to graduate here, well, I suspect we'll see a game because they got a lot of games and analysis and a little bit of tactics here. So Travi says he did this in 8 hours and just a little bit of work. Let's look at the rating here. In any case, a little hard to read. Let's see what we got for games. The Figgy and Pawn Profit. We're talking about the Pawn Profit here. This is Dojo Open Classical Tournament. And we have both players being kind of criminal on time. So I'll highlight that first. Here's our time graph. Both players, they're moving way too fast. Now, one thing definitely, a reason I'm very much in favor of OTB is when we look at the dojo of games that are played online, they are consistently played at a much higher rate of speed than when you play OTB. And I feel pretty confident in saying that's because when you're online, you are distracted, and therefore the tendency to play impulsive, quick chess is going to be higher. Okay, now let's get into it though. Here's the game. First round Dojo Classical. So the Figgy is also in the program. Good move. Good move. Good move. Good move. Rook e8. And this is definitely not a double question mark. Okay? A double question mark would be
96, knight c5. I think the black can trade rate of getting pawn ending by rushing.
What was that? What was that, David?
That's a clip Kostya sent of the echo so that we would know how bad it was for everybody else. I think I'll just leave you to do the graduations by yourself for a bit, Jesse.
Well, does he have any constructive thoughts about how to? Because I got the desktop, I got the
only
mic.
way that we fixed this in the past when it's echoing like this is for the person hosting to use earbuds.
Oh yeah, I don't got no earbuds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I'll just kick off and let you do it for a bit.
All right, buddy. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. See you around.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah. So just everybody, when something just to say, I'm on vacation now. Hence the weird setup. I don't have a second screen. Don't have our normal businesses. So, I am going to then. David was kind of keeping tabs on the Twitch chat for me. And anyways, I'm not going to worry about the tech stuff today. I'm only going to have this set up once in my life or if I travel again. So in any case, let's return to the game. Rook e8, not a double question mark. Double question mark is like when something dramatically goes wrong. Knight e5, you're not losing a pawn. You're not losing a pawn. You get this situation. And this, I've had this kind of thing before. Maybe the computer would say you're doing bad, but honestly, this is a totally playable position for black. Okay, so this looks like a mistake to me, knight g4. And players are definitely, he spent 10 minutes, but the point is that the knight can be driven away with h3, and therefore no bueno. So more to the point would be rook e8. And white can do a number of things here. Rook f1, let's call that standard. You could play here c6 or d6. Something like this. And totally playable position for black. And so the problem with knight g4 is if you don't have a tactical follow-up, then the knight is just going to get hit with h3, and white wants to play h3 anyway. Rook e8, e4. Now, would I play e4? I don't know. See, the problem with e4 is you're getting in the way of your business, right? So, if h3 is no good because of knight e3, then queen d3 would be the question that I would like to ask black. Okay, e4. Now, here's a trick. We want to now get our knight here, because see, we can mess with this pawn. So a very standard plan now for black would be c5, maybe even an exclam move. And now white cannot prevent us from bringing our knight to this strong square. d6. Mistake, I feel, from white to play bishop f4, because now we can still play c5 and get the e5 square. Knight c6, and now h3. And so now white has the dream. There's no way to fight for the central squares. King h2, good move. Knight d7. Notice, if we could magically put the pawn here, we'd be doing great. f1, knight f8. It's not going to do anything because the guy has bishop b3. Queen h5, frisky. And you write, then this is where I got confused. I was like, isn't this just a blunder? I still thought about playing knight g6. Now, I want to stress, the reason this is so problematic for white has everything to do with what I was saying about c5 earlier. Namely, we can divert this pawn from the center and control the e5 square. So we're winning more than a pawn here. We're winning access to these key squares. Now, one problem for white here is white has to think about the position in terms of control. So queen h5 is trying for some kind of trick, and instead we need to control black's position. Think about it. It's black's move. No, he's not doing anything. Knight e6 will just play bishop e3. And our idea would be to never move any of our coconuts unless we really have to. Okay, so good move, knight d4. And d5, he's trying to play for tricks. c6. And it's probably safer to play something just like bishop e6 here. You know, I just don't need to be a genius. Just hold down the f7 square. And now you took queen d6. However, haven't we... Wait, so we need to do better notes here. C takes is clearly the interesting move for black. And I guess we can talk about mild compensation here. Yeah. Oh, mild compensation. Black's still winning. So, my friends, I'm going to bring it back to a simple point. When we go to the time graph, you can see that both players are not thinking. And if you want to improve in chess, you don't actually have to increase your intelligence or even your playing ability. You just have to slow down. That's all you got to do. Okay. So, I am going to go to the next one here and change the scene. Next up we have is Siobhan's. Let's change the scene. We'll go boom. And Siobhan says, I'm loving the new tests. It's nice to have a metric like that. Plus, they are just fun. Thank you. We're working on those. We're trying to develop those as we speak. One of our current projects. 28, married with 2 kids. Holy moly. And that's great. If you're married and 2 kids and you have that kind of graph, you can hear I got kids in the background. Will they be quiet? No, they will not be quiet. Let's forget about it. So, maybe he's talking about the checkmate test. He's got the checkmate test going on. Hasn't done the tactics test yet. Okay, let's take a look here. We got clubs, Indiana and Chicago, moms and dads. I'm in that one. Activity, loads. Oh, that's really good, dude. Now, Siobhan's has graduated twice, so we're going to go down 1. And, yeah, looks good. 77 hours. Chump, can you take them away?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Some games. Boom. And here. Game. And so this is Sean Evans against Zachary Nudo. And we don't really have the clock business. Ooh, was supposed to mark all these games as reviewed. Sometimes I forget. So, reasonable so far. Reasonable. Okay. And now F4. Achieving our Stonewall formation. Now, this is controversial because you're moving a pawn 1,000 times. And the dream of F4 is that you're going to get your knight over here. The problem is the pawn on F3 is doing a job now, preventing the knight from accessing these squares. One interesting question. So notice that the bummer is that you're not developing. And okay, let's just say, just talk about this for a second. When we take, we develop the rook. So the position is actually a little bit hokey for us already. Now, f4. It's not actually easy because black is about to play bishop d6, touching this coconut. So even though I'm really against f4 from the perspective of development, we might have to do it. Let's look. Knight h5, castles. Knight d7. Now the interesting thing, maybe knight d7 is fine, but could black play bishop d6 followed by queen h4, g5 kinds of things? Good move. Good move. Okay, so this, now the knight really didn't work out. So this would be a moment for black to think about it. And g5 looks really interesting, and bishop d6 looks good too. And so since black wasn't able to make the knight on h5 work, it's clearly not a good move. He had to go for it at some point with g5. And really, even now, you could think about playing g5. That wasn't it. So what should he do? Castles or g5? Check! Oh, interesting move. Okay. King d8. Bishop b5 check. Very, very nice shot. Good. I love this. This is beautiful. Okay. I like what you're doing. Good. And that can't be it. Opening up the rook. You're doing great. I was proud of finding this move. It helps keep the queen out of h4 and also threatens bishop b4. Okay. There is a problem with queen 1 though. Is that dude could have played queen h4. And the problem is, well, when we maybe we can do this, because that's an important move and there's no way to defend h7. Okay, so I take it back. If queen h4 doesn't work, then queen e1 is a pretty tight move. Boom. Taking our worst piece, eliminating his own best piece. Good move. Good move. I don't know what it does. Looks good. Yeah. Let's read what you write here. Despite thinking that was much better, it was not clear to me how to proceed. Yeah. Now, one thing to really focus on here is somehow opening the position. So if I was just playing blitz chess, rook c5, sure, that's the move that comes on. And if you didn't like it, the post-mortem or the analysis afterwards would be the time to really think about what to do, right? So let's say our intuition here is that white is definitely winning, and we just need to figure it out. And the problem bishop isn't really doing all that much. But it's an interesting problem. Well, I won't spend too much time on it, but I think look at a different move. Rook f3 is tempting to think about, as it has two ideas. One, it's hard for black to move, and might play this forcing rook here, and that would give us this business. Very difficult for black to actually get out of his stuff. He can't do this because of the a7. Still, I believe in your move. I don't understand. Well, no, I don't understand it. g3. Now he's doing a wrong thing, thinking he can get frisky. Rook c3, but rook f4 looks pretty good. He's messing around. Good. Notice our bishop was a problem. We needed something to do with the bishop. You're doing great. All right, I'm just going to say I really believe in your position here. And now you played rook f8. Now, okay, wait, rook f8 might work. But also, so let me just say that the guy is totally pinned down. And if rook f8 doesn't work, bishop d1 looks very strong, and bishop e4 looks very strong. Yeah, looks amazing, honestly, because you can always play d5 after bishop e4. So, that wasn't it, right? Check to the miserable king. Check should be mate. And what happened here? Wait. Wait. King b5. Now white has lost rook a8, and he says the only winning move. But this is not simple pimple, because he's got queen e3 coming up here. No, I always want to stress that this is not simple pimple. So what I want to stress here is rook f8 is an unnecessary move because you're positionally winning here. And we only play rook f8 if there is like no other thing that we can do. But the fact is we got all kinds of things to do here, you know, and we should look at it afterwards. Your line, maybe it's like winning with the computer, but I don't know. You got, once you see this position in your mind's eye, you got to be like, oh no. And this, wait, no, that wasn't the one that freaked me out. This one, rook a8. Good. This one I understand. This one I'm on board with. I think I get it. Do I get it? Wait a second. There's still questions to answer here, but so I have a feeling it's like maybe the computer said this was winning, and maybe it is, but you got to calculate it further. I don't know. It's not clear to me what's happening. Not clear. So I'm sure it is winning. I'm sure the computer might approve, but we got to write it out. And now this is just really hectic. And then this one, like I said, really hectic. Okay, so a little bit more work, but otherwise a great annotation. And let's return here. Next up, we have Bartles. Bartles says, I started playing with the board classical tournaments. Wait, Kraai. Wait, you're not doing it right. Go grad show. Started playing over the board classical tournaments, which I've really enjoyed, and I'm still enjoying the Dojo. I remember Bartles from another graduation show that we've had. Manchester, UK, home of Josh Friedel, friend of the Dojo. And here we go, ECF, so that's English, 1490. Look at that beautiful jump, my friends. And got the tactics test going. This looks good. So, son was a strong junior. Nice, okay. I want to know if your son's in the dojo, boss. That's what I want to know. I want to see some kids in the dojo. All right, so we're just going to look. So 1400, 35 hours. Loads of work done. And I just want to say I am checking the chat once in a while, but I only have one screen at my little setup going on here. All right, so that all looks good, and we got a game here with Sam. Click on it, and let's move this around. Game. And time graph we can't see, unfortunately. This is Lancaster Congress first round. And we're playing a higher rated opponent. Unnecessary, but fine. E6 is easy. Fine. Fine. I think this is all okay. Fine. Fine. Fine, and you're doing great. You're doing great. I don't like White's moves. White played too superficially. You got your business back. The knight on c3 is misplaced. He has to worry about e5 someday. Good. Okay. I think e4 scared me a little more. g3, lots of time. Knight e5 at any point's a good move here. Fianchettoing the queen, that wasn't it. Good move. And you play queen e5. Now, a standard plan here is to play knight e5. And here, black is a little bit better because at some point I'm playing knight c4 and I have really just annoying pressure on the c file. Your move isn't bad though. A little frisky. Okay, so here he's just blowing the pawn, right? So, the question... Well, actually, this knight e4 move, dude, if it works, it works. This looks great. Well, bravo with knight e4. Yeah. Maybe white can play this move. That could be a little annoying. This is just to knock the queen off of this business here. I don't know. Maybe still play queen f6 and say, I don't care. No. This is a strong move. So queen f6, knight e4, pop, and pop. Exclam. Queen holds the rook, and we are doing fine as white. This is not to take away from your conception, though, because I really like it. Now we get the pawn, and we split the pawns, which is nice. We win that guy. And here's the question. Are we doing bad or great? Because, right, the question is, how do we feel about this position with the rook infiltrating? Now, you write queen b2, queen f4, small advantage black, but really there's only one question, I think, and that's, well, how do we feel about knight e5? To me, that looks winning. It looks winning, that knight's so strong, right? Because you're up a pawn, and that knight's a beautiful guy. Getting our knight here would be a big deal. So queen b4, we give him this. Rook a7, and this looks very drawish now. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, why did we give him a pawn? why did we give him a pawn, buddy? Let's look at this for a second, actually. So this is a completely drawn position, and white's not doing anything. And now we make a very committal move with f5. So we're going to drift here. White isn't threatening anything, so we could do things like e5, h5, all these moves. But now, white's annoying us a little bit. h4, good move. And now we actually do have a little bit of grief. Yeah. Okay. Technically, this is still drawn, but it's if I was white, I would be upset that I allowed this. I think f3 is a more challenging move than rook e7. Good move. What? Oh, okay, timeout. You never go into the pawn endgame unless you're absolutely sure. And even GM's going to be sure here that this is completely a draw. You know, it's too hectic. So if you just leave the rooks on, you're fine. And this is great that somebody told you this afterwards. Yeah, this is how we learn. In general, this kind of rook endgame is going to be a draw. The pawn endgame probably is losing. So for example, you write that ef3, king f3, king g5 is apparently holdable. But let's just say something is. It's not unclear. It's either like white's winning or white's drawing. It's not unclear. And as you said, king f2. And I think what you probably just mean is it's unclear to you. This should be a draw, but like I said, it's going to be a little bit of work. Probably king h5, for example. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little hot. Boom. Long opposition. Now we kind of, are we forcing you? No, we still want to play king h5. It's still going to be draw with king g4. But I'm just trying to show how we could potentially massage this situation. In any case, more analysis could be done. Bummer that you lost this game, of course, because you were playing someone higher rated, and you outplayed them. They played superficially in the opening, and you did great. Okay, so let's continue. All right. So next up we have Arlo. Arlo doesn't say anything but has done a lot of work. Let's check Arlo out. Here's Arlo, and I gotta switch scenes over here. Yeah. So there's our friend Arlo, and Arlo's got a club, no clubs, activity. I'm gonna see what Arlo did to get here. That looks like endgames and tactics. And go up. If we look at the ratings, has not done any tactics tests. That would be good. And looks like no games. Makes our task here a little easier. Okay, Arlo, games for next time though. Next up we have Johnny Linney. And Johnny says, really enjoy using Dojo training program, although I need to make more use of it. I really like the book recommendations. The plan and scoreboard facility actually makes me finish a book all the way to the end. Personally, I need to get better at analysis and notating games. Okay. All good things being said there by Johnny Linney, graduating his first time here. We'll follow him. And you can see 1404 brought it. We want to see some tactics tests. Clubs, UK. We got lots of people in the UK. Beautiful time breakdown there. 105 hours. Very good macro distribution. I guess we want more games and analysis. Okay. We got one game from Johnny Linney. First attempt at annotating. No problem. And as you can see, actually, let me make sure we get everything involved here. First, actually, before I get into, as you can see, let's look at the time graph. Books not really using their time, my friends. As we're going down the ladder today, of course, meaning we started with higher rated players, and now we're going to look at lower rated players. And as you can see, we start moving faster and faster, right? So the first thing Johnny Linney to say is improvement has nothing to do with actually getting better. It has to do with slowing down. Okay, so let's get into Johnny's game here. First attempt at annotating is what he says. Now, one of the cool things about annotating is when you do it more, you will discover more questions. And when you have more questions, you'll also slow down in your game because you'll be like, oh, right, I recognize how rich these positions are from when I did the annotations of my games. Okay. C6 is a little bit of a strange move, but he's saying, I want to take control over this square and this one for the knights. Good moves. Good moves. Good moves. A little frisky. And now you play knight f3, and I don't... This one I'm uncertain about because your e4 pawn is hanging. Yeah. So more standard, I think, would be to just play f3. e4. Snip. So we lost that bad boy. But Black's development is so poor that we are doing pretty good here. d5. Good. I love it. Queen d6. And now, boom. Very nice. Boom. gf3. Very nice. Bishop e2. Okay. I think there's more aggressive things to do, such as knight e4. But okay. Bishop e2. Beautiful chess. Good chess. Lots of time. Good move. Oh, you're doing beautiful. Look at this. Beautiful chess. So notice your opponent is not only down a pawn, but they're completely tied down. Love that you didn't trade. And now bishop f7, which looks good to me. Looks great. Well, you could play rook d7. Yeah, you play rook d7. This is also winning. Beautiful. Look at that poor knight, just stranded over there. Beautiful chess. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Check. Mate. Here we go. So, most important thing, you and your opponent moving too fast. Okay? Second, you'll do more annotations and you'll get better at it. It's a skill. All right, beautiful. Let's continue. Next up, we have B. Burks, who's graduated loads of times. After a big upset in the Saturday Classical, I made large rating gains and I'm able to graduate just 2 weeks after my last one because I wasn't in this cohort long enough to really say what was the most helpful. What I will say is that Kraai's comment 2 weeks ago that I just need to use my time was invaluable. I have been focusing on using my time to calculate more variations more deeply, and it's paying off. Well, that's what I like to hear. And I bet I have it on the wrong scene here, so I apologize about that. Let's go over here. Sorry about that. Again, I'm operating with disadvantage today. So 45 years old. As you can see, they're flying up the rating ladder. Got some tactics and checkmate tests in. We'd hope they would be higher. They should be higher. And you can see they've done 2 here, tactics tests, 3 checkmate tests. So definitely some more Polgars are needed. And something's going on with the tactics test. Hopefully by the 3rd one, you'll get a little bit of a higher score. Okay, clubs. Indiana, Chicago. All right, beautiful. And activity. As he said, he just flew up this one. So 10 hours. Pretty easy. And I'm going to go over here, games. And I'm going to switch scenes, I promise. First thing we'll do is look at the time graph. And so, boom, boom, boom. As you can see, his opponent in particular, who was black, moving way too fast. Way too fast. Okay. So you could tell when they do this, it's kind of like you're playing somebody who's just playing the blitz game. Fine. 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 Yep. Yeah, there's all kinds of moves there. But okay, let's give this a try. Good. Okay. Interesting. I'm kind of into this. This is interesting. And I don't understand this variation here. So castles, snip. No. Because you would just take here. But I think the problem with this is actually in this position, or at least the question I would have after castles would be, can he play CD, ED, bishop G4? That might be annoying. Okay, so D5. Frisky. Knight C3. Queen A5. That's an evil move. Very Grunfeld-esque what black is doing. In fact, black is playing these moves super fast. you talk about h3. To me, the move for black is or white is definitely bishop e2. Not a doubt. Gotta play bishop e2. Why? We want a castle. We want a castle. Okay. And I get it. Okay, let's actually look. So what he is mistakenly afraid of is some kind of knight a2. Knight a2, it's really a weird thing to be afraid of, though, right? I mean, because even if black could win the pawn, they've pinned themselves in such a nasty way. It wouldn't be probably not a good idea. Okay, in any case, that's part of the justification for this a3. Bishop f5. Okay, makes sense to me. And now he snips. He's giving us the business. Boom. Knight a6. Don't like it. Knight d3. Definitely the more interesting thing because now the knight on a6 is so poor. All right. So h6, you're doing great. Doing great. Arguably strategically winning because the knight on a6 is so poor and you're better developed. Here you play bishop h5. To my mind, a real natural move here would be f3 or f4. And if I was going to be concerned, maybe queen a4 might be annoying. This doesn't make any sense to me. Interesting. I also like f3. That's too frisky, man. I don't believe you could do that g4 stuff. Because you're allowing us to crack him open when he has got a bad knight. Okay, I kind of like that. Queen e2. You could play rook ac1 and just keep him out, though. Rook ac1, queen e2. He's gonna lose the coconut, and we're gonna do things. Oh, I'm getting a more relaxed position. Queen e2. Pop. Pop. Now, the position's kind of wild, but we got to believe in white because the knight's so bad. Good move. Black resigns. He just gave up. Now, my friends, let's do something. Oh. Well, it happens once a show. Okay? It happens once a show. That I go on and, dude, can't figure it out. I do it once a show. Any case, Berkshire, you could probably figure out most of what I was saying from that. I do this once a show, though, and this is the problem with having different scenes, because eventually my mind's going to crack, and I won't be able to hold it together, especially when I don't have a second screen, when I can't see the terrible things that people are shouting at me. Be patient. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Faugra. I'm sorry. It happens once a show. It happens once a show. Okay, so main thing takeaway, I always want to stress, was that time graph that you guys were forced to look at the whole time. But the takeaway, just so if you were watching and didn't have a sense of what was going on, is black let their knight get really terrible here and needs to at least try to sack a pawn with knight d3 because that knight's going to be so bad when it goes to a6. Excuse me. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, there's so many graduates today. Next up is Lewis. Lewis has graduated loads of times. And he says, happy to see they continue to improve. Now, boss, are you on the right screen now? I might have to take a break in a second. Happy to see that I continue to improve. Now that players do not blunder pieces that easily or fall for obvious tactics, victories taste better and losses deserve congratulating my opponents. Excuse me. The middle game strategy and end game technique have become more important, and I need to work on that. In this cohort, I didn't like winning chess tactics by Sarah 1. Very few exercises on each topic, and they are difficult, too easy, or too they're either too easy or too difficult. So I complemented the tactics part with a daily dose of online puzzles in the first book of Yusupov's method. The rest of the program continues to be top-notch, and the support of the community is invaluable. Well, I'll make a mental note of them. I'm on a quest to study all of the books in the program. So I have studied most of them, either before the program started or since. But I haven't studied actually winning chess tactics yet. 53, 2 adult daughters. This person's like just my double. Lewis is my double, living near, except he's living somewhere nice. You know, he's got a nice place to live. All right, and you can see Lewis is flying up here. 1106 has done the 3 tactics test, 1 checkmate test. That's good. And let's see if there's a Spanish club. European Dojo 50 plus. I'm in the 50 plus. Never too late. So we got 2 clubs for people over 50. Okay. So activity. Loads of time being done. Oh, darn it. Sorry. Again, I'm working on a system that isn't entirely great. Look at it, Lewis, dude. He has graduated again and again. 257 hours it took him. So that's all great. Excuse me. Oh. What? Death. Okay. So let's go back and boom. And then we're going to look over here. And Lewis is in the chat. ChessDojo, take it easy, buddy. I'm looking at this business. Okay. So, clock times look like those of an advanced cohort. I'll just show you that quickly. Maybe at the end, we'll see if that's something to criticize. But I like that both players are thinking. And let's see what kind of game it is we're dealing with. First mark is reviewed. Kraai is going to remember to go to the game here. So, and also, really cool that this was an online game and people thought. Some people, like including myself, I think have a real hard time doing deep thinking when they're in front of the computer. Okay, so E3, little passive, but we're not going to miss anything. Fine. Queen C7, and now knight E5. Let's read what Lewis wrote. The queen looking at my kingside made me nervous. I thought it was a good idea to set the knight on this outpost. Okay. Let me just say, you know my dogma. You know I don't want to do it. I think the simplest plan for white would be bishop d2, rook c1, talk to the queen a little bit, and most importantly, develop our pieces. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe in this. Knight d7 strikes me as better, but okay. Black's just bringing out their people. Good. And this is Black's first little crime. So the big question would be, can Black play a move like knight e4 and follow it up by f6? I believe in Black's position, right? a5 doesn't make any sense to me. A little frisky. Forcing the bishop to do something. This is the kind of move Jesse doesn't like because it harms my dark square bishop, which is still developed. That's true. And you talked about a4. But can we just play bishop d2? What are we doing? Let's play bishop d2. Come on. This is the move. We don't even have to think about it. Of course that's the move. So, snip. Knight e4. So, Lewis, what I want to see is the crime that's happened. Not only is your bad now, he is better developed. Knight a4, so you're losing the development game. You probably got to play queen d1 so you can play bishop d2. Now, big moment for Black. He plays rook f b8, which is weird. The Black's default move should be f6, and it's a very simple narrative because now we say we're going to open you up on the king side. You're not developed. It's going to take you a while to get bishop d2 even in, and we're going to start pushing around, right? Okay. So, by the way, one of the things I want to stress is it's kind of actually cool is you're getting so strong now that the mistakes are not hanging pieces. There's stuff like this where they're not understanding how to punish you for your crimes. So, for example, rook fb8 is motivated by the idea that he wants to play b6. But I don't like b6. If he plays b6, he activates your knight on a4, which is frankly doing nothing. And you believe him. You're like, oh, I got to play knight b6. But no. Now he fixes his knight. And that pawn is now a little weak. Queen d8, good move. a4. Maybe it's true because him playing a4 might win your pawn. c5 now is a strong move. No, he doesn't do it. Yeah, c5 looks hard for you to deal with. Queen d1. Good. c5. This gives a pawn if retaken by the knight. dc. Now, I want to stress it's true that knight c5 is a blunder, but you are absolutely right in saying rook c8. And so the thing to understand is c5 from black wasn't a mistake. It had the wrong intention because he intended to play knight c5 as in the game. But if he just plays this way, it's important to see how you're strategically toast here because he is going to be able, he's so much better developed, your bishop's poor, it's the losing proposition. The e5 pawn is weak, everything's going last way. So it was only this move that was bad, and then boom, we got it. Very nice. Now he's toast. Simple chess. Queen d5 also looks good. Move. Okay, good. I like queen d4. Good move. Rook c1. Queen c5 is definitely fully winning. By the way, Lewis, look, when you do this variation, you're totally winning. It's not a clear advantage. That's plus minus. Over. You got a piece. Okay, rook c1. He loses his mind. You say that rook c5, of course. Uh-oh. Oh, I said oh, but that's actually a very nice move. Rook c4. Now this move, rook takes, makes me nervous. Yeah, that makes me nervous. Okay, it's probably still winning. Good move. Great move. Simple chess. Definitely I would have taken that knight at some point. Just take the thing. Okay, beautiful game. Beautiful game. And I really appreciate that the time graph is appropriate, Lewis. So you've got that part of your game dialed in, and we know that other players at your level simply do not. So that's a huge competitive advantage for you. Okay, so here we go. Grad show. Go back. And next up we have Shane. Shane might not have anything for us to look at. The young dad, also tried to make art. Okay, love it. Is flying up. Canada. Doesn't have any tactics tests or checkmate tests. Take a look over here. Clubs. Moms and dads. Okay, we got us a big group. Activity, maybe no games. So, well, actually, what am I saying? There's a bunch of games listed there. Go down. We got some games, buddy. So this is Shane. We'll mark this as reviewed. And we're going to just shame Shane briefly here. This is the time graph. As you can see, it's typical, right? It's typical. Now, maybe the game was decided and people just played on, but in our experience, generally people are playing way too fast. Easy to fix. Easy to fix. Lower rate is in the chat. Thank you, Lewis, for being here. So, let me make sure I got this correct. No, I don't. Get this game thing going on. All right. We're not worried about Vienna again. We just want you to play principled moves. Strange move. Why is it strange? Because, by the way, this whole thing you're saying about the opening is just confusing you. G3 is weird because White has already made a pawn move to get the bishop out. Now he's making a second. Fine. Okay, a little passive, but fine. Fine. A little passive. You know, I'd rather you castle or bring your pieces out. H3. So White is refusing to develop. Queen C7. And now F4. Very frisky move. Now, I want to stress, I'm looking at the time graph, and both players are playing ultra fast here. That's not what we want. Because this is a hot position. No one knows. No one knows what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here. This is totally hot. So, knight b6, I don't like, because the f5 is going to really push us around. So, could we play g6? I think so. Yeah, we could probably play g6. Okay. Now White's doing pretty great, because notice, this knight is poor, and they've got this real g4, g5 thing for us to worry about. Okay. d4. I don't like it. I think White should play g4 followed by knight g3. This might be a stunner move. It is very complicated. I'm not sure what's happening. But it is, in principle, correct because we want to open up the d file for the queen, hitting the queen. And what does White do? Loses time. And you got to at least say thank you in the notes when they do that. ED4. It's getting hot. This is a mistake because now you can play both c5 or queen g3. But that's probably correct. He does this. And now we have knight h5 though. Ooh. Got it. Okay. People, like you guys moving too fast. Knight h5, what are we doing? Of course that's our move. What are we doing? This might even work. I don't know, but it's more complicated. No, that wasn't it. Check the miserable king. And now bishop c5. Now, if you don't like it, tell us what you'd rather do. And now c3 is probably on target. Good move. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. So this is tactical mistakes being made by a player who is moving instantly. You know, just instantly. All of this is players just moving super fast. That's clever. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop there. And I just want to stress, both of these players, super fast. Let me just... So notice how complicated that was? That was up to move 10. That was some of the most complicated things I've ever seen. Both players moving super fast. You guys, improvement. Its improvement is right there. We just got to slow it down. Oh, and I made a small blunder here. I didn't. I gotta go back to graduates. And this is gonna be for 14. So, Faugra's in the chat. Hopefully, still, if they're still hanging on. Oh my God, I got a lot more to do. Am I ever gonna finish today? I don't know. I'm trying to do the whole thing today. Am I going to be able to do it? I got to speed it up a little bit. So this is Martin. And aus Deutschland. Activity. Looking very good. And games. Martin Otten. We'll mark this as reviewed. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at this one. This one's criminal. Oh, buddy. Oh, but what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? You spent more time analyzing this game than you did playing it, Martin. Let's flip it over for Martin's benefit. No, people aren't thinking here. No, that's not a good move. No one knows. Okay, so many things to think about from both sides. So many. Oh, he's just hanging stuff. Oh my God. Thank you very much. No one knows what they're doing. It's just a hang show. Yeah, I don't know. Very nice move. Good. So Martin, slow it down, dude. Slow it down. There was so much to think about in these first couple moves. And it's an impulsivity thing. It's an adrenaline thing. People are excited. They're moving fast. Blah, blah, blah. So much to think about. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's go back. Unicrons says, I really appreciated the structure and focus on longer games. I've already noticed a difference in my first week. That's what I like to hear, Unicrons. Make sure I got this correct. Oh, I'm in the wrong business here. Oh, did I do it again? Did I do it again? Sorry. Lewis, I know, buddy. I know. I did it again. We're going to follow Unicrons here. Am I blowing it a little bit? I am. But, this week, I knew it was going to be a little hard. All right, here we go. Unicrons has done some games and analysis, so we're hoping we got no games. Unicrons just joined fairly, last week. So we're going to see more from Unicrons soon. Next up, we have iTwice. What this program suggests exactly what I needed. I used to focus on learning openings, and that wasn't effective to get me to the next level. Okay, great. So, here we go with iTwice. Tactics rating, looking good. They've done their tests. This is, I'm in iTwice here. Okay. And as you can see, iTwice is flying up. Hasn't joined any clubs, and is doing endgames and tactics like a fiend. That's good. So this is looking good for iTwice. Games. No games, iTwice. Oh, buddy. Now, sometimes, by the way, this is the thing that's important. When you submit a game, when you create a game, you do have to make it public. So I think a problem I want to stress that some people are having is they're not making it public, and then I can't see it. Right? They think I'm going to see it when we do the grad show, but then we don't actually see it. Okay. So, Fogra, that gives us more time, though, to get to you at some point, because you're coming up there somewhere. As 22 people, you'd think it'd go a little faster, Kraai, but it's hard for a boomer GM like me. Oh, shoot. Darn it, I don't know. Oh. Kind of blew it there. But here we got Amgazapab. Hasn't done any tests. We're going to go clubs. No. Activity. Quite a bit. Looking good. Games. We got a game. I'm going to switch scenes here. First. Kraai. Oh, what's going on? So I know what's happening. I know exactly what's happening. Here, I'm going to fix this. So, here we go. And here is a Maxabob. Here is games. We're going to click this again. And we'll go game. That looks good. Do we have a time graph? Not really. So, let's go over here. Oh, we do have a time graph. Hold on. So, there you can see it. And in our game, oh, you know what I'm not doing good here today? There's a lot that I'm not doing good. I needed, I'll just tell you here. A Magzabob, in general, our guy is always playing white. So let's get into it. White did use more time. So we're happy to see that. Playing somebody online we suspect who is not playing, was playing too quickly. Here generally we want to play c3. Now though, this is looks good for black, honestly. But there is a problem, and he writes, I consider this as an error during the game. And he also recognizes it as the post-mortem. And the problem, of course, is knight takes d4, bishop d1, but we got to go one move deeper and find bishop b5. So that is el problema right there. So we got to put a question mark with bishop f4. And the real problem with knight c3, though, is we are neglecting this pawn. So after e6, you're still going to have to guard it in some way. So we got to put a question mark after bishop f4. And now he's crushing us. He really is crushing us. Yeah. Beautiful move. Now we are done. Good move. Black is killing us now. Now bishop b4 looks good. d4 also looks good. And now we're done. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Oh, no, buddy. Jeez. Dang. This guy killed us. Okay. So, couple things just to note. This is a fine way to play the opening. We have a number of people playing the dojo this way. And you can play knight f3, but we have to recognize that you need to shut the knight down here with c3. And it's true, though, that this looks, honestly, to me, I wasn't even certain the first time I saw it. I was like, maybe we deserve this. But then this is some deep calculation work that we need to find. Okay, so next up we have Nevada. And Nevada writes, well, let's fix this business here. Nevada writes, I made inconsistent progress through this cohort, but thanks to all the game analysis I recorded, I discovered that I was occasionally missing the new threats that I had created after I made my attacking moves. I physically started sitting on my blunder hand until I made myself visualize these new threats. Okay, that is religion right there. Okay, so Nevada's crushing it. Also doing the tests. Looks good. Happy to see they're doing the tests. Clubs, activity. Lots of work, as we can see. We want, of course, the most recent one. And they did 97 hours to achieve this. All right, games. We got a game. Let's see what's going on here. Now, someone's probably screaming, Kraai, are you going to forget? No, I don't ever forget. There's our time graph. Could ask for a little bit better than that. Here's our game. Our person Nevada playing black here. So it's kind of a quick game. E3, a little weird. Fine. Good. 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 Poor. Moving and develop piece twice. Good. 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 I'm loving your development. This is great. Yes, you're just developing. This is beautiful. Great move. Good move. Great move. I love this. You're doing great. Beautiful. Oh, even better. Look at that. Oh, the octopus has been sunk. So, let's just say, black is playing GM level chess. You know, just developing our pieces. That's the way we'd like to do it. And what is this? In addition to all its other problems, it's not helping their development. You say thank you. You just go back. Great. Great. Oh, look at the punishment here. Look at the punishment. Oh. 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 Thank you very much. Oh, this is what we want to see, Nevada. And not only that, but even though you were crushing this person, you took your time. So, this should be a template for how you reach the next level, right? You can win game after game like this at this level. They don't develop, and they get tactically crushed. And it's GM level. Look, and it's like, you know, maybe you could say I'm not a GM or whatever, but look, just following the principles, you're wasting him. You're wasting him. Look, everything's picture perfect. E4 exclam. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, beautiful. Let's go back. Next up, we have Trav Cole. And let's give him Trav Cole a follow. Hasn't done any tests. Clubs? Nope. Activity? Just a touch. Do we have games? No games. Trav Cole for today. We're mildly thankful as we're running out of time. But I think you realize that if you do the tests, follow the program, trust the program, annotate your games, you're going to make it. Next up, the famous Faugra, who is in the chat. Let's take a little moment with Faugra here. I don't feel quite ready for the Checkmates tactics test. I'm slowly working on everyone's first chess work. But by the way, tactics test, anyone can do them. We really did design it for everyone in the program. I don't know who Ninja is. I think Ninja's a cat. So, there's a baker's dozen in the 50-plus club now, and I'm hoping that there'll be a start to some discussion in Discord. Oh, there's a Discord 50-plus. I didn't even know about that. Great. So, thanks for taking the time to do them every week, Jesse. I'm sure they mean a lot to everyone else, too. Thank you. You can see, I'm with the family. Whenever you got kids, you're never really on vacation. But I'm trying to make it work today. So I appreciate it that, you're lenient with me here. 73 years old. Canada. Amazing. Okay, this is beautiful. So, we want to see some tactics tests. He knows that, though. He knows I've already yelled at him. Then we got these clubs. Canada, 50 plus. There's two 50 plus clubs, too, now. It's a little bit confusing. Activity. Loads was done here. And let's see how he did it. So, games and analysis, my friend. So, let's take then a look. Boom. We will mark this as reviewed. Oh, and Faugra is playing one of these jumps that is not taking their time. Look at that. Not taking their time. Basically, Faugra is playing somebody who is playing a blitz game. Okay. So. Whew. I'm reaching the end of my rope, but I'm going to finish here. So, classical play well is still in the dojo 4 to 5 cohort. Okay, good. Beautiful chess so far. Usually we play DC to get our people out, but you probably do it this way. Taking the pawn seems more reasonable, but I think you're still alive here. Good. Good. Okay. A little weird for him to do that. You're doing great. Good move. Good move. Notice everything picture perfect. Good. Good. Fine. Oh, blunder. What possible reason could I have for wanting to give up my bishop? Okay, so let's just say the obvious. At this level, it's all going to be about not hanging your stuff. In this was love your position. Look at those bishops, So even a basic move like bishop c8 looks great to me. But let's just focus on the basic. The game is decided with this move. Perhaps you're getting freaked out by your opponent moving so fast, right? So up to this point, you still have loads of time. But more importantly, be a little kind to yourself in the sense that, you are going to blunder things like this. It's going to be part of the learning curve. Not just for you, but especially for us old guys. I was playing U.S. Senior Championship, famous GM hung a maiden, won to me. So it's part of the deal. And we're hanging our coconuts here. Ooh, yeah. He didn't even give us that break. And he got us. Okay, Falgers, very simple. I think I really want to encourage you to do the mate in ones and the mate in twos, okay, and the tactics test. That will help you get the board grip. I talked about it in a recent video you can find on our YouTube site. The mental grip to see the squares without even thinking about it too much. And of course, slowing down would have helped. And of course, it's a bummer for the dojo. You're playing some chump who wasn't even thinking, treating it as a blitz game. Okay. Abdul's talking about how bishop c8 is not a basic move for this level because it feels like we're undeveloping. But the point of bringing our pieces out, right, like our bishop, is to get the rook in the game, right? That's why we're doing it. So the bishop going to c8 is definitely a developing move. Okay, brilliant. Let's keep going. Next up, we have Eridanus. So excited to join the dojo. Already graduated a number of times. We want to see some tactics tests. Clubs. Nope. Activity. We got some. Hopefully we'll see some games. Very nice. And so this is Eridanus. And I'm going to show you the time graph. We'll probably end up yelling at these people too. This is a 30-minute. And, ooh, Kraai, you were about to blow it, weren't you? You were about to blow it, but I didn't. I remembered. All right, here we go. So far, very nice play. Mistake. So got what I wanted, or so I thought, and don't mind trading for the bishop that may be troublesome. Okay, so tactical blunder. Again, it has to do with board visualization and this e-file. Also here, I just want to stress, I think I'd rather give him the check, because notice, when we take here, we develop the queen, right? Okay, so this, and that's not a developing move, so we'd rather castle. All right, now we're toast. Ooh, that doesn't look right. Now you played h4. Did he just return the favor, and could you have played e5? We should definitely try to play e5 because we're down a piece and we should want to do something here, right? Okay. He's working us pretty good. He's working us pretty good. He's working. He's just killing us here. Very nice play by Black. Very nice. Oh, and we lost our business. Okay, so as we're seeing, okay, to get out of the 1000 cohort, we need to slow down and we need to not hang stuff. The point of tactics at this level, as I pointed out in this video, and what this graduation program has taught me, graduation show, is that it's not fancy tactics that people are missing. People are missing hanging stuff. And the hanging stuff happens because you don't have a grip yet on the squares. Right? That's how it's going down. All right, let's keep going. We have the Germaniac, and he says he likes everyone's first chess workbook. It's a great book, very popular in the program. We want Germaniac to do some tests. And Kraai, are you already blowing it? Let's go over here, gradual. Bang. Bang. Clubs. Deutschland. Activity. We want to look at how they got there. So just a simple 5 hours of work got them to this point. Everything's looking groovy. Games. We got one with, we're going to presume it's Max Schmidt. Ooh, but I've already analyzed this one. At least that's what it says. Cool that we have it in German. Me and David could actually analyze this thing. I assume I did this one for an earlier grad show. So congratulations, Max. And we'll move on. We got two more. And we have Lacrylos. Lacrylos says, I'm thrilled to be graduating first time here at the dojo. Really appreciate how the program is structured, giving me clear guidance and direction. Before joining, I was stuck in a cycle of just studying tactics and being too afraid to actually play. Great. One thing I've noticed during blunder games, that's where we play 15-minute games, is that I often run low on time, which leads to mistakes due to time pressure. So the focus on classical game time controls has been a game changer. Perfect. This is all, preaching to the choir. This is everything you want to know about the dojo this person is saying. So let's see how they're doing it here. So 27-year-old guy playing some chess in Italy. We're going to give him a follow. Got a very nice tactics rating. So that's very encouraging. And really with that rating, we're going to expect that they are going to graduate again soon. I think there's an Italy club. Join that club. Activity. So, lots of work here. 58 hours. Oh my gosh. This guy's going to be doing the work. Tactics score is up. We're going to see this person again soon. Let's see if we get a game. We got several. Boom. So, we're going to mark it as reviewed. I will just tell you that the time looks great. The time graph. Actually, I'll show it to you briefly. Boom. There's our time graph. And now the game. Oh, I'm working with like a sad mouse that barely responds to my movements here. So, e4. So far, it all looks fine to me. Could white have stolen the pawn on e5? I don't think they could have. Frisky. Given the position of the rook on e1, I wanted to try to fork the enemy rook and king. Given that the only move blocking it was d4, I started calculating the amount of attackers and defenders and thought it would work. Yes, and so d6 is correct. Remember, the main problem with knight g4 is his moving a developed piece twice, and now he slaps you with d4, and you give away your center pawn, ed. And when you do so, you also give him this nice c3 square for the knight. Okay. Sad, but what are we going to do? Now he's crushing us. Now, again, this all goes back to moving the developed piece twice. Good move. And now, he takes on h6, we're toast. So he should strongly consider, playing queen h6. Yeah. Good move. Queen h6, please. No, he's not doing it. Now, this move helps you because now at least you can dream about knight g6 and e5. Rook c8. I like to see knight e6. I still want him to play queen h6. Yeah. Wanting to exchange pieces. And you write about knight g6. Absolutely. We've got to play knight g6. Oh, yeah. Can't be giving him the e5. Look at that. Boom! Oh, no. So, first of all, in addition to e5, we're hanging this pawn on f6. And it's a big one. So, let me stress that I want you, Lacrylos, to think more about your guys, okay? e5. f5's your best chance. e6. Was that their best move? I don't know. I think this is actually something they should strongly think about because ed looks real powerful because you're going to knock away the knight and then take this pawn. So this looks wrong. And then we should analyze this. He's helping you because your rook's coming out. de6 and bishop somewhere. Let's put it there. Why are we doing so poorly? So he gave you a big chance with e6. And then you were like, I'm done. Right? And now we're just completely rocked. Bummer. Okay. So there it is. You're doing the work, which is good. Okay, you're still hanging some stuff, which is expected at this level, and you can get religion when it comes to not moving developed pieces twice. Okay. All right, we got one more, my friends, and that is Zeralda. And let's get the right scene here. And let's click into Zeralda. So we're going to follow Zeralda. Age of 56, South Louisiana native. Okay. Now, we want Zeralda to do some tests. We want Zeralda to do a Louisiana Dojo. That's hilarious, dude. The Louisiana Dojo. Nice. All right, activity. And that's looking good. That's looking good. All right, games. We got several. All right, so first we'll mark this as reviewed. And we're going to do some shaming. If you've watched this full show, you can tell that there's just a track that we've seen. The higher rated people are than we think, right? It's that simple. And it takes a little bit of work. It's not going to be immediate, but it should be evident that, oh, that's the first thing I can do that doesn't require me to read a lot of books or to be a super genius or anything like that. I just have to sit on my hands. Okay, so game. Let's get into this. And this is a blunder game, so a quick game. Blunder games at the dojo are games where we try to look at just when did we hang stuff, such as here. We hung knight takes e4. Okay. The same reason this is a mistake as the last game. And here we're hanging just this pawn here. Poor move, losing time. Okay. Poor move, losing time. Good move. Poor move, losing time. Queen d2, weird. I don't know what it does. Bishop f4 looks good. Real question if a4 traps our bishop. Kind of looks like it does. Losing a piece. Was proud of this move until I realized I forgot that was a rook. Bonehead move. Okay. And that's probably where the game... Oh, wait. Dude recaptures with the wrong piece. There's the knight, my friend. There's the knight. So here now you get you get a rook for 2 pieces and a pawn, which, much better than what could have just happened. Okay. Now this is a poor move because of queen d5 check. So knight takes e4 blunder. Good move. Thank you very much. And g6, another blunder. And let me just say this bishop g5 looks good. Bishop g5 still look good. Checkmate. Okay, so love that you used a blunder game. And for these blunder games, the idea is you go through them and really pay attention to the moves where somebody hung something, right? That's what you want to be focused on. And so, for example, here, bishop d6 is a really awful move, but we have to realize that it does, since, maybe he's threatening knight e4. I don't want you to give him that pawn. And here again, he could take on, well, d4 is fine. It's got its special tricks. This is what we don't want, right? We don't want this business. As an example, just to show, when we develop and they don't, we get this kind of thing, and now we're winning, I believe, because bishop d6, e5. Even so, that even if they get away with this, the knight has to go. Our development is amazing, crushing. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I am going to apologize that the show is a little janky today. It's been janky in the past, but a little janky today. Sorry about that. I will be back next week when I am hoping that everything is going to be a little bit more controlled. Thank you for bearing with me. And since I'm not even logged in officially to the Twitch, I can't actually raid anybody, so we're not going to raid anybody. I'm just going to get out of here. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And I'll check the chat just one time, just in case people had a question. How's the annotation book coming along? Kostya is just, I don't know. He's trying to do something with it. Yeah, do I have a tournament? No. I'm on, kid vacation, which isn't really a real vacation. So I got that going on. But I do want to play some. I have been studying. So that is at least something that's going well for me. Using the Dojo training program, my